Okay, great. Well, welcome back. Strumming Mastery Week 9. We're doing the K Bossa song today. It's the chord progression for Blue Bossa. And some fun chord shapes that we get to work on. I was just telling you about the minor 9 shape. We're going to use this in 3 spots. In this song, we're going to use it as a C minor 9 at the 3rd fret, an E flat minor 9 at the 6th fret, and a F minor 9 at the 8th fret. Another shape we're going to use is the minor 7 flat 5, or half diminished shape. We're going to use it as a D minor 7 flat 5. We're also going to be using a G7 sharp 5, as well as an A flat 13 and an A flat 7 sharp 5 and a D flat major 9. Yeah, I think that's all of the chords that that we're going to hit. Do we have that PDF handy? Great, so let's take a look so you can see some of these shapes. Cool, there we go. Perfect, so there's the C minor 9. So you can place your middle finger on fret 3 of string 5. Your first finger is on fret 1 of string 4. And then 3rd and 4th finger on fret 3 of strings 3 and 2, respectively. So kind of a cool chord shape to know. Some possibilities with it for different colors. But right now we're just focusing on this basic C minor 9 shape. If you've ever played like a C9 like that, you could think of it as we're just leaving off that string, and instead of a dominant, it's a minor. So anyhow, we also play that at fret 6. Well, let's say fret 8, 6, 8, 8. And yes, also at 6, 4, 6, 6. So there's one shape. The first shape you want to get friendly with is this minor 9 shape. And it's a movable shape, so wherever you put it, it becomes whatever that note is, the root note. And the root is the lowest voice in this case. Okay, so after we've spent a little while just experiencing that sound and what that feels like, let's check out the D minor 7 flat 5. So this is a good shape to know because half diminished chords come up in minor keys. So it's called D minor 7 flat 5. We also call it D half diminished. In some cases, we could think of it as a B flat 9, or maybe an E altered, depending on what bass note we put under it. And some other chords too, I'm quite sure. But we're using it today with this note as its root, D. So that makes it a minor 7 flat 5. It's kind of a fun shape because you get to use all 4 fingers. You can play first finger, you place that one on the lowest string at the 5th fret, 5th string, and then use your ring finger next to play fret 6 of string 4. And And then you use your middle finger, finger 2, to play fret 5 again, this time of string 3. And then your pinky's going to play fret 6, string 2. So that's a good one to have in your arsenal, in your trick bag. Okay, the next one we should look at is this G7 sharp 5. So you see what's happening is I can create different kinds of G7 chords by moving around this note that's above these 3. So like in the case of A flat 13, the pinky will be in that spot, you know. But if we were to make that, and when we do make that A flat 7 sharp 5 or G7 sharp 5, which is what we started talking about, the pinky just comes back 1 fret. And if this was 13, we could call this flat 13. But sharp 5 is another way of saying flat 13. It's enharmonic. No big deal if this stuff doesn't make sense, but if you're interested, that's what's happening. So if this is just a regular, let's go back to G, regular G7, which is a lot just like a G7 bar chord, right? But instead of having this power chord in the bottom, we play it like that. So this is just the regular 5th at the 3rd fret. At the 4th fret, it's a sharp 5 or a flat 13, and then at the 5th fret, it's a 13. If we were to go one more, that would be the 7th, but we already have that here, so no need for that. And we could go backwards from the 5th too, and we could get a sharp 11, or a flat 5, I should call it. Could really call it either one. Just like this one could be sharp 5 or flat 13. This one could be flat 5 or sharp 11, sharp 4. Could even put the natural 4 in there, that kind of crunchy sound that doesn't come up very often, but sometimes. In this case with G, if I were to take the first finger away, I could play the open B. That wouldn't always work. It works for all of these though, even for that one. But here we might have trouble. Okay, so forgive me if I'm going too far into all this, but I could talk about that stuff for a while, apparently. G7 sharp 5 is the chord in question for this song. So I'll tell you how to play it. That's finger 1, fret 3, string 6. That's finger 2, fret 3, string 4. That's finger 3, fret 4, string 3. And that's finger 4, fret 4, string 2. So 4 fingers. And that's coming from the D minor 7 flat 5 by way of this note in this arrangement that we're going to look at. So that's something you can anticipate. We'll talk more about that later. Okay, cool. So moving right along, we did talk about the E flat minor 9, but let's go ahead and take it again. So here we are at fret 6, 4, 6, 6 on the inside 4 strings. Strings 5, 4, 3, and 2, just like the C minor 9. again, some different options like we had with the dominant chord of moving notes around to create different colors. The same kind of options are available with the minor 9 chord. That's something that comes up a lot, at least in the last 10 years or so after that Dave Matthews song where he played. Something like that. So what's happening there is that the third is doubled up an octave. I think we were on E flat. And then with the minor 9 chord, all you're doing is, instead of playing a flat third, you play a 9. Other possible notes, I guess, could be flat 9. That probably wouldn't happen too often, minor flat 9. Or just minor with the octave doubled. So on that string, I'm probably going to just stick with mostly the 9th or maybe the flat 3rd. On this string, there's one other option, or maybe 2. If that's the flat 7, I could also play the 6 in place of it. So now it's like a minor 6 chord, or a minor 6-9, I guess, because of that note. And then, if we were really being, geeky about this, which we are, we could bar this first finger, and then you'd have like an 11 in there too. Minor 6, 9, 11. Maybe we would just call it minor 13. But here's the shape again. I was saying that we could move that note to get a minor 6, 9. So that's one option. And then up on this string, we haven't really explored that yet. Or we just barely started to. So there's the 5th, that's a good one to add. Or the 4th too, back here, that I mentioned a second ago. The 11th. That can be cool. So the 11th one could either have the flat 3rd, or it could have the flat 7, or it could have the 6. Either one. I suppose that flat 6 might happen, minor 9 sharp 5. You might want to use that sound. One more that I guess I won't fail to mention would be that we could move the flat 7 up and play a major 7, so minor major 7 could happen. Maybe with the 9th and the 11th. And there's just the 5th again. So sometimes that's a fun thing to do, is just think about moving a note down. And the fingerings end up changing. But you can get some neat stuff that could be useful. Alright, so enough of that. E flat minor 9 is what we're talking about. And exploring some other possibilities too, but for this arrangement we have today, it's E flat minor 9. Okay, the next one is A flat 13. So this is cool because you're coming from an E flat minor 9 and going to an A flat 13. So we're always going to look for a common tone, something to make that transition easier, help us keep our place as we're moving to the next shape. anchor point will be the pinky in this case. And actually this ring finger almost has an anchor point. It stays on the string it's on and it goes down a fret. This finger goes from 5th string 6th fret to 6th string 4th fret. And this finger replaces the pinky. And then we pull that 13 back to make it A flat 7 sharp 5, which we could also call A flat 7 flat 13. It would imply maybe a different scale if we call it flat 13 then 7 sharp 5. I guess that's mostly a concern though when we're talking about 13 flat 9 or flat 13 sharp 9. Different scales are implied. So this is leading us to a D flat major 9. So the chord that's on the page is like this. 2nd finger, 4th fret, string 5. 1st finger, 3rd fret, string 4. Pinky on string 3 fret 5. And that's ring finger on string 2 fret 4. D flat major 9. It's a lot like, D flat 9. Or D flat minor 9 for that case, or D flat minor major, but it has a major 3rd. So it's really kind of in the same family as the minor 9, the major 9 is. That's kind of neat to see. So these two notes, this is the 3rd here, and this is the 7th here. That's the root and that's the 9th. These outer two voices, root on the bottom, 9th on the top. The inner voices, 3rd and 7th. So we can do a number of things by just changing these two notes, right? So I can make the 7, I can make it a flat 7. So that gives you a dominant. Major 7 gives you a major 9. Flat 7 gives you dominant 9, or we just call it D flat 9. So that's one thing I could move. Or I could lower the 3rd, and that was our minor major 9. Could lower the 3rd and the 7th, get a minor 9. Just like the minor 9 chord where I lowered the 7th to get a 6th, I could do that here too and get a 6/9. And then if we started thinking about the high E string, adding a 5th or a sharp 11 or a 13, sounding. So that's the chord in question, D flat major 9, and just talking about some things that you can do to change the qualities of this chord and trying to tie in, that this relates to the minor 9 shape. since they both have fifth string as a root, and they're both on the inside set of 4, and they both have root, third, 7, 9, so they're really the same voicing. All of these just kind of morphed. So that's fun stuff to think about. D flat major 9. Oh, and then one more chord that will come up is the G7 sharp 9. That's, the Hendrix chord. That goodie. But we do it at the 10th fret. G7 sharp 9. All right, cool. So now that we've explored all that in depth, I would say, let's check out the track again, and then I'll talk you through this progression. Now that you'll recognize some of these shapes, I'll play it one more time. C minor 9, F minor 9, D minor 7 flat 5, G7 sharp 5, C minor 9. Some quarter note triplets. Here's the D flat major 9. Here it goes again. Great. So let's look at the next PDF that you have. I think this should be the actual song. Great. So these first two measures, the 3-1, 3-3 stuff, that's all out of the C minor 9 shape. So you notice that, echoing back to some of those earlier weeks when we talked about alternating bass, that's showing up again here. And then it's almost like a walking bass too. So or maybe it's really not a walking bass. Maybe that's not fair to say, because walking might imply swing. But anyhow, it's an alternating bass with some variation. So it goes 1, 2, then the bass changes 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. I'll do it again. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So we could just hang out on those two measures. Get the feel. I think this right-hand pattern thing is one of those things, like the quote where from Aristotle that says the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. I think that this picking pattern is that way. I think a lot of the picking patterns are where once you get the whole thing, it becomes more than bass pick. It feels like something complete with all those little parts. But it takes a while to get to that point. So I have a feeling that, I don't know exactly how many people are watching this right now, and then I guess in the future you might watch it, but because of the archived. But some of you might be, struggling with this pattern. Others of you probably have it no problem. So there's a little syncopation, and there's some alternating bass stuff. And we're using all four fingers like we worked on in the last few weeks with PIMA. So this is what's happening on the C minor chord. And to lead into the F minor chord, we're playing 3rd fret, 1st fret, and then we slide up and do the same pattern on F minor 9 at the 8th fret. So this is the 8, 6, 8, 8, measures 3 and 4, F minor 9. Same thing we did here. Do it again up here. Cool. Up a 4th. And then this works nicely. This acts as a leading tone. The beats 3 and 4 in measure 4 lead us down a half step to beat 1 of measure 5. Because measure 5 is the D minor 7 flat 5 chord. So you're leading into that. And its alternating bass note falls back a fret because it's the flatted 5. And then that acts as a nice neighbor and leads us right into G7 sharp 5. So now this is measure 7. Measure 6. So in this case, the alternating bass note goes from string 6 to string 5. To C minor 9. And then these quarter note triplets. And I just do those with my middle finger because I'm on the C minor 9. And the quarter note triplets lead me into the E flat minor 9. And here's that little anchor tone we had with the pinky and the ring finger falling back. And then the chord changing in the middle of the measure. Let's see, this is measure 9 with E flat minor 9. Here's measure 10 into the D flat major 9. So measure 10 is worth looking at because that's a new rhythm. That's the most syncopated measure, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So the only downbeat in that measure is on beat 1. And then we get a downbeat again in measure 11 for D flat major 9. Beats 3 and 4 of measure 12. 3, 4. Now that first finger is a whole step lower neighbor for D minor 7 flat 5. And like I said, that alternating bass note falls back. And leads nicely. Leads nicely down to G7 sharp 5. And then the alternating bass note, fret 2, leads you right into C minor. So fret 2 is with the first finger, and then C minor is with the second finger. So measure 15 is C minor 9. And then on beat 4, you play the G7 sharp 9. That's a cool thing to do sometimes, is to put the chord one whole beat early. So I don't think I did that right. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh no, excuse me. I put it on the end of 4. I'm not speaking the truth. So let me try that again. Measure 15. So yeah, the end of 4. Just your standard push. Nothing so crazy as all the way on beat 4, which can be cool. Lots of cool songs do that. Okay, so there it is, bit by bit. It's a lot to digest. I'll play it with the track one more time. We'll talk about it some more and maybe answer some questions after this track, if there are any. So we broke it down. We broke those chords down. We're talking about it. Maybe some questions are coming up.
No questions quite yet.
Oh,
If
cool.
anybody out there has any questions for Ian regarding Bossa or any general questions even, let's go ahead and we'll get them logged right now.
Yeah, we welcome any questions that you might have, or if you'd like me to, go over any of that stuff again, we could do that. Let's just play around with the track a little bit. Nice little beginner kind of jazz tune. You get some common jazz progression movement. The 1 chord going to the 4 chord, and a 2/5 back to the 1. Then it modulates 2/5 to the flat 2, which is kind of cool. 2/5 back to 1. And it's a chance to kind of explore maybe some more exotic extended chords than you have in the past. I see some action. Maybe there's a question.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
So if someone was primarily a pick player,
Yeah.
maybe you could give some ideas or pointers as far as, either playing that feel with a pick or how you would transition to, you've talked about the Pima fingering. Maybe just go over that a little bit.
Sure. So I guess we could use the pick. I could do all that with the pick and the fingers. And regarding the Pima, if that's what I was doing, I would almost be inclined to do all those Pima exercises but instead of Pima, maybe I would do pick, and then second finger, third finger, and actually involve the pinky. So if you really want to keep the pick as part of your playing while you do the fingerstyle stuff, you could do the Pima stuff that we did. And try to get that pinky involved. That stuff can be cool. Good to be able to do that. So that's one answer, is like do the Pima stuff with the pick. And then blue bossa with the pick. I guess just for me personally, I feel like if I'm going to do something like that, I'm probably going to end up kind of just holding the pick between these fingers. Because I guess I like the sound of the thumb on the strings and all fingers instead of like... And frankly, I think it's just that I haven't worked on this as much, like doing the pick and actually trying to get the pinky going. I feel like that would be beneficial, and I haven't put the time in, so I default to this because I can get away with it because I've put some work in on that. But I think that would be interesting to work on pick and fingers more. I don't have a lot of control over my pinky, nor over separating them. I always want these three fingers to be on the same, or at least be adjacent, so it's strange to me to try to split them up. Pretty sloppy. So getting back to your question, yeah, what do you think, man? How did I do? Can I answer more? Did I just completely ignore the question?
Oh no, that was great. I was just curious how that would go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that did answer my question. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for talking about. Let's talk more about that later.
So yeah, why don't you maybe you could go through the tune one more time. We'll see if we get any last questions and go from there.
All right, let's do that. It's a short track, shorter than some of those other ones. We could have maybe looped that longer on the track. But anyway, that's 2 times through. It's a 16-bar progression. So that was 32 bars of music. It took about a minute and some seconds on my iTunes there. This is a cool tune. This is a fun style of music um, that I've barely scratched the surface of. This bossa nova stuff, and but that could be something fun, for you to check out. There's a lot of great music out there with the Getz Gilberto stuff, um, but also this blue bossa tune is from a Joe Henderson record called Page One. Um, and I want to say that it was written by Kenny Dorham, but I don't want to say something and be wrong. Anyway, and I'm pretty sure it is on Joe Henderson Page One, and that's a cool record and a cool recording of it. And then lots of other people have recorded that tune. It's kind of one of those standard, like, beginner jazz tunes. Um, but I think it's nice to play in minor keys, and it's challenging, but it's still playable. So it's a nice little bridge, maybe into some stuff you haven't checked out before. Thanks so much for being here today. I guess we'll check in on the questions, and if not, if no questions today, come back next week, please, for week 10. That'll be the culmination of Strumming Mastery. Week 10 is a little Travis picking kind of tune. And there's a track for that one too, so that's fun. I'm excited. I feel like these last 2 weeks are kind of the most fun. The first few and the last few seem to have been the most fun. How are we doing over there?
We do have one question here from JP Bluestring. Do bossa nova typically use jazz progressions like the 251?
I mean, yeah, I don't think it's entirely uncommon. And maybe it's pretty common, two really common bossa nova tunes, blue bossa, and then the tune that has many names. I guess I could think of it as Black Orpheus, but that does the 251 a lot too. Just so that tune has a lot of 2/5s, even though I didn't play it very well. But this was a 2/5 to 1. This was a 2/5 to the C chord, which is like the flat 3. And then it did, your standard go into the 4 chord, and then it went back 2/5 to 6, and then the bridge, or the second half, I should say, had like a 2/5 to the 4. So yeah, another song that comes to mind is Wave, which starts out with a 2/5. Excuse me. This is just D minor 7 to C. Excuse me, D minor 7 to G7. Uh-oh, embarrassing myself. Something to that effect. Ooh, I forgot how that goes. now I'm under pressure, so I'm never going to find it.
Okay, we had a comment from Ronald Knorr. Lots of finger stretching, tough but doable. Maybe you could give some pointers on just getting the finger stretches on there.
Yeah, and hey, Ronald, that's cool, man. Thanks for checking in. I know I've seen your name on that screen more than once, so that's awesome. Thanks for participating. Yeah, there's some finger stretching. I don't think it's very dramatic, though, frankly. It's not like, Blackbird or something like that. I guess if you've never done that, okay, I guess what I'm imagining right now, Ronald, is I'm imagining that you're holding the guitar like it's a baseball bat. And I don't know if you are or not, but I run into this with some folks I work with sometimes. And some of these things will feel like stretches if you're holding the guitar wrong, if you're not, or in a less advantageous way. So remember that, like a violin player, you're kind of making a C, letter C. I don't understand how the cameras work, but like a letter C, and then that's how you hold the guitar. That's how these chords will feel a little more comfortable. So really the only thing touching the back of the neck is my thumb. I'm never like gripping the neck with the palm of my hand because that limits all the motion. We're trying to use the whole arm, like all the way from the elbow. Shoulder, this is called. Elbow's down here. Yeah, all the way from the shoulder. So that's why, we try to sit up straight. That's why I end up like crossing my leg or using the strap to kind of angle the neck upward like this. Because, if you just get a guitar and you're just sitting, the neck wants to point into the ground. And that puts your arm at this weird angle. So a strap can help. A footstool can help. You'll kind of find your style. And then I also like to remind people that are struggling with a chord or strength or something like that, or stretching. Remember that the arm is, I feel like I've said this before in this very room, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but the arm is heavy, so use the weight of the arm. Like you would get tired holding your arm out here. So I'm kind of using that, and I'm using the neck of the guitar to sort of, almost rest my arm on so that I'm not having to use the muscles to hold it up. So it's almost like with this hand, I'm basically pulling the guitar down and away from my body, but this arm catches it. And then that's really where the contact is coming into the strings, is just like the weight of the arm pressing into the neck and pulling down. So said another way, just try to let the gravity of your arm play the guitar for you, and you don't have to use tons of strength, in this muscle or these muscles. That's helpful, but I like to remember that my arm has a lot of strength to it, so I don't have to wear out my fingers or my hand if I use my arm to my advantage. So, yeah, Ronald, let me know if there's a particular chord that feels super stretchy. Maybe this A flat 13 feels super stretchy. If that's the case, like go up and do it maybe like at the 10th fret, where the frets are a little more narrow, and you don't have to like do quite so much stretching. Yeah, anytime that something feels hard down here, I try to do it up higher. One, because like I said, the frets are more narrow, they're closer together. But two, my arm doesn't have to be so far out here. It's more comfortable. Cool. Well, thanks everybody. It always means a lot that you stop by and check these videos out. Hope they're helpful. Next week is the final week for Strumming Mastery, so check it out. We'll play some more music together, and until then, have a great week. This is Ian for jamplay.com.